We just had multiple Bills injury updates after this Friday's practice, and we have some crazy new details for this upcoming game Sunday against the San Francisco 49ers. Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm your host, Anthony Senicar, and this is Bills Digest. And let's all be honest here. We all love the Buffalo Bills, and we all love smashing those tables. So the same way you guys smash those tables come Sunday time, I want you guys to smash that like and subscribe button, and let's get right into the video for today. Well, Friday's practice just wrapped up, and we have some big news coming from practice. Sean McDermott spoke to the media talking to WGR, and he has officially ruled out tight end Dalton Kincaid. But some good news on that side is Keon Coleman, Dwayne Carter, and Matt Milano are all questionable, and Spencer Brown was officially cleared to play, which is big news for Buffalo. Having our starting right tackle back will be massive. Matt Milano did practice all week, as well as Dwayne Carter did practice all week. Full participants, none of them in that red non-contact jersey, which is massive. I think it really bolsters the Bills' defense. I can see him ramping up both Dwayne Carter and Matt Milano, like I've been saying all week. Spencer Brown starting really bolsters the O-line. Now the O-line is back to 100%. Keon, I think, will kind of be a wait-and-see basis because we got some big news coming out of Buffalo weather-wise, which we'll get to later in the video. So I think it will be quite an interesting game. And then having Kincaid out obviously hurts us a lot. He is a great receiving threat, was slowly turning into Josh's second reliable number one. I do think Mr. Dawson Knox will step up big. He has in these past 2 weeks of Kincaid out, and I don't see why that won't keep happening. On top of that, what we all know is Sean McDermott, coming out of bye weeks, is undefeated. Hopefully he keeps that streak up. That's just what you call great coaching, great preparation, knowing your opponent. Obviously last year we had that massive win against Kansas City. And, every year after the bye week has usually been big games, kind of get right games and kind of just get the ship back on track. Again, last year with that KC game, coming off that bye, it was a massive win, kind of turned the season around at that point in the season. That was right. They went into the bye week that year after that Broncos game, firing Ken Dorsey. And again, that bye week, they installed that Joe Brady offense. And I think this week we'll just kind of right the ship, get the heads on straight. Big news, obviously, with Josh getting engaged. But besides that point, just a massive week all around and kind of a big game. And on top of that, we got some big news weather-wise. It looks like it might be another crazy snowstorm. So reports we might be getting 1 to 1.5 inches of snow, or no, 1.5 feet of snow. My apologies. And that will be massive. That will usually means the Bills rely heavy on the run game. If you see at that graphic where that small little Bills logo is, that is where the stadium is located in Orchard Park. And I think come game time, it will get pretty crazy. So let's all expect either a big James Cook game or a big Josh Allen rushing game. Josh has obviously proved that he can throw in that snow. But again, it looks like it's going to be a massive running game, and it's just it helps into the Joe Brady's game script of controlling the ball and kind of just running and pounding that rock. And again, just helps out a lot. Now it's moved from our side of the ball. It's moved over to the San Francisco 49ers side of the ball, where they have some massive injury news. A bunch of guys got ruled out. 2 big names with their starting left tackle, Trent Williams, and their starting D-end, Nick Bosa, who have both been ruled out, which is big for the Bills because, again, that's 2 cornerstones of both the O-line and D-line for the San Francisco 49ers. I can see Greg Rousseau having a really good game with a backup left tackle in there. And again, having no Nick Bosa, as much as we don't want to see it, it is one less headache to worry about, as again, Nick Bosa is a game wrecker, and him going up against Spencer Brown, just coming back from injury. Don't want to see that. Don't want to have to deal with that. And just this, it's a weird story for the San Francisco 49ers, as it's kind of the Trey Lance trade is kind of affecting them now, because they are having no depth, and it's affecting them a lot as they have a 5-6 record. And it's weird for them, as again, their D-line is not as good. Once Nick Bosa's out, I can't really name you another guy on that D-line. And obviously they have Fred Warren in that linebacker role. But again, and they went crazy heavy on the luxury picks with Debo, with Brandon Ayuk, with Ricky Purcell. Obviously, they had that big trade for McCaffrey, and they were lucky that Brock Purdy selection hit. And speaking of Brock Purdy, big news this week out of the 49ers. This Friday when Mr. Kyle Shanahan spoke to the media, he did say that Purdy is listed as questionable, and he said a lot of things can happen between now and then, but right now he's playing, which is, again, as much as we obviously want to keep on winning, I do prefer a better game, and having Brock Purdy will obviously give us a better game, as I do think he's one of the better quarterbacks in the league. So we did have, obviously, the back and forth all of this week with Purdy being limited. Obviously, the big story earlier this week was Purdy pulling himself out of practice just because of the shoulder injury hurting him. But again, I do think that having him play this game is better just for the game itself. And I think having them all together will be quite a good showing. Now let's break it down for you guys. Let's break down this 49ers offense, who again goes into this game with a 5-6 record. On paper, looks like a really good offense. Just looking at these stats right now, they are they average about 23.6 points a game, which would make them 13th best in the league. Obviously, they got that great rushing game with obviously Jordan Mason, who took over for Christian McCaffrey while I was out this year. But obviously, CMC is back, who I still think is the best running back in the league. But that's just my opinion. They're ranked 7th in the league with 138 rushing yards per game. Passing game is still up there, which is 255 yards per game, which ranks for 5th best in the league. Total offense altogether, 384 per game. Their third down conversions are still great with 6. They are ranked 6th in the league in third down conversions. And the story right here is where the 49ers season kind of, why they're 5-6 and why they're not top of the NFC West. And not obviously like a 8-3 team or obviously 9-2 like the Bills. Red zones. They can't capitalize in the red zone. They are their red zone percentage, or TD percentage, ranks for 30th in the league at 40.91%. They cannot finish like years past. They have all these weapons, all these options, and they can't finish. They're just kicking those field goals, and that's what's biting them in the butt, as well as their turnover differential, or the average turnover. Their average turnovers in the season is 1.5. It's almost 2 turnovers a game. So again, looks like a great offense on paper. Obviously, you got the George Kittles of the world. You got the Jordan Masons. You got the Brock Purdys. You got the Debo Samuels. They have all the weapons, but again, it's just that red zone finishing. They can't do it this year. And speaking of George Kittle, who's probably in the upper echelon of the NFL's tight ends, obviously stopping him is going to be massive. And I think that it's one of those things where if you can shut down George Kittle with that snow coming, I think it will really force him to run the ball. And I think with Matt Milano back and playing this base defense, this 4-3 defense, it will really, really, it could really cause for a massive headache for the San Francisco 49ers. And now let's swap over to the defensive side of the ball, where the Niners defense, as always, is either average to above average. Obviously, they're ranked 6th in pass defense, ranked 11th in rush defense, and then ranked 6th in total defense. But again, if we look down at that red zone defense, they're averaging 67% of teams' red zone trips. They're allowing touchdowns, which is 29th worst in the league. That's not good. Again, they're having red zone struggles on both the offensive, defensive side of the balls, which I think the Bills can really take advantage of. Kind of have those Josh Allen keepers and those James Cook inside zones. And just even those little screen passes to Khalil Shakir might be just a little thing to really give the 49ers a headache. But again, having this snow is really going to really become interesting for the Bills, as again, if there's at least 2 feet of snow, it's probably going to be a big James Cook game. So again, for all you bettors out there, I would hammer the James Cook over. I would hammer the Josh Allen over. And just for a sneaky little pick, because I always like to give you guys a little tidbit, I would smash Dawson Knox anytime touchdown scorer. I just got something. Those red zone trips, I think that there's going to be some headaches with them trying to stop the run. A little play action to Dawson Knox might be quite interesting for the game. But again, the Bills take on the 49ers this Sunday for, as I said earlier this week, t-shirt and hat game, as Miami Dolphins just lost on Thursday. So the Bills control their own destiny to win the AFC East. Let's hope they do. And until next time, guys, please like and subscribe, and go Bills.